Konnichiwa and welcome to today's episode of The Untold. First of all, arigato for joining us. I'm your host, Abdullah Hindiani.
Kumbawa, my name is Dujain Al-Athari, and today we have a guest who represented Kuwait at the Kuwait Pavilion at Osaka Expo in Japan 2025.
Yeah, we have Fatma Alfulaij, who's been a PR director and social media manager for, I believe, more than 2 months of being there in Tokyo at the pavilion itself, and she was amazing. A lot of the viral videos we saw, especially on those early expeditions, she had a hand in those, right? So we're really curious and intrigued to know about the process, to know about the experience, for her to sit with us and share with us what had gone through all of that.
Me too. I'm curious to hear what she has to say about the whole situation, especially the culture she was immersed in since she had to stay there for so long. And this expo was a really important thing, not only for Kuwait, but for countries all over the world.
Right. And with that in mind, we are going to take a very quick break and we'll come right back with her. And we're back with Fatma Alfulaij, and I want to thank you for joining us on The Untold.
Thank you. It's my pleasure being here.
So being part of the Kuwait Pavilion at Expo Osaka, I believe that played a major role in your career for this year, and it must have been a great honor to have that accomplishment under your umbrella. So I do want to ask you about, your experience with the whole thing.
To be honest, it was one of the biggest achievements, let's say, I made this year. Being part of this project, the past 2 years, we've been planning for it, and then having it start and take like a time phase of 6 months, this is the biggest challenge. It was a great experience. We've learned a lot. We've shared many, let's say, culture exchange with the Japanese people, and that was really something really good.
It is really, really cool that you did this. I feel like I'm actually really surprised that it took 2 years to plan. Like, I'm aware it's a 6 month. I'm aware it's a 6-month expo, and all different countries from around the world are a part of it and showing their culture and diversity. So it's actually incredible that you got to be a part of it and actually arrange a lot of it and represent Kuwait. How did that feel for you?
So being part of this experience, and from a personal experience, I've always wanted to represent the country, like, let's say, in any way. So having this chance was overwhelming in a way, and it added a lot, to be honest. Having to talk about your country and, let's say, telling people about it, especially for those who still think that Kuwait is only a desert and we still ride camels, this was challenging. But when they visited us and saw what we had showcased for them in the pavilion, they were mesmerized. And this made a great impact for us too, as employees, that we reached the goal that we wanted.
And also, I think we've all seen the footage from social media where people from all over the world coming to the expo itself and the Kuwait's pavilion, and the reaction they have, whenever they're seeing our traditional dances or the little podium of sand, when they have the little presentation going on with the stars and everything. The amount of shocked and surprising expressions was just amazing, because people, like you said, they have a very narrow idea about what Kuwait is, but mashallah, this entire thing opened their eyes to something much more and much deeper than that.
Yes, let me tell you one word, what I learned from there, sugoi.
Sigurd.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So it was really amazing. So whenever we see them just entering the first, let's say, room in the pavilion, which was the sphere, Pearl of Perception, which used to speak about the history of Kuwait, present, past, and future, and they would just get a glimpse of it. The first word, whenever they enter from first step from the door, it was always Sigoi, and it was a Sigoi experience.
It's so cool that you got to show the different sides of Kuwait and its history to people who may not even have been aware of Kuwait even having so much history. Like you said, they just see sand, desert, they don't think much more, especially our rich history in pearl diving. And I thought it was really cool, the concept that you guys created for the pavilion, that it's like a pearl in the center.
Yes.
And around it is just different things showcasing the history of Kuwait.
Yes, exactly. So, for example, let's say the first room was about the pearl. It had a glimpse about sea life, city life, and desert life.
So it covered everything.
Yes, everything. And then it's the starting point. So and it ends, let's say the movie ends with the desert life. So then it takes you to the actual room that speaks always about the desert and the environment in Kuwait. And it goes on till the other parts of the pavilion.
It's like a journey through time.
Yes.
Yeah. And I want to ask you, because I'm sure with a project that has so many people, so many aspects, so many facets, there's going to be a lot of challenges for all of the people involved.
Yes,
But for you
exactly.
personally, what was like the most memorable challenge that you had to overcome?
How can I say much about the country and like in a very, let's say, useful way that whenever the visitor just leaves the pavilion, he has the good amount of, let's say, facts, knowledge, ideas, and thoughts about Kuwait, and especially changing the camel and desert idea.
Was
The
it hard?
hardest.
Was it hard to come up with the concept?
First of all, yes. Starting with the project, yes, because what we know about Japan is that it's past, let's say, it leads the technology, and they're always ahead of us. But when we went there, let's say we settled with seeing what we saw. So the main idea of having the phases in the pavilion was based of technology first. So having good quality of technology, how can we put the ideas and technology along on the same side? This was the first challenge. But then we were acknowledged as the top one technology use in Expo Osaka.
MashaAllah.
Really, I think especially in Japan, that's quite an achievement.
Yes, we didn't think we would reach this, since we knew that they're like ahead of us in such technology, but we aced this.
Yeah. And also as a PR director and a social media manager, especially in charge of a project so big, you had a major responsibility. Like the amount of decisions you made were influencing people's, ideas and
Idea.
perception on Kuwait throughout so many borders, right? It goes beyond Japan itself. So how did
Exactly.
all of that responsibility felt on you, and how did you approach it?
It started first of all hard, but then let's say by time and days, everything went so smoothly. Having to have an idea for every single day and coming up with new content, that was really hard. But they were helpful. They were actually helpful. That like the visitors were always open for anything. Whenever you ask them for, let's say, participating in such a video or content, or just having a simple interview, that's what made it so easy. As for the PR part, I would say it wasn't only me. Our colleagues who were involved in each section in this pavilion, they were making the huge part of it, representing the pavilion, the country, in the exact way, helped a lot. We had visitors come specially for each and every employee within the pavilion. So to me, this is the biggest PR action happened.
That's really cool. As a PR person, a lot of people, I think, believe that social media is just about posting pictures.
Yes.
They're not aware of the amount of work that goes into it. Actually, when I was a teenager, I did an internship at a PR place. So I got to learn a lot about how it actually works. What would you say is the biggest misconception people have about being a PR person, and especially for an international setting like Osaka?
As you said, people think that it's only about social media, especially nowadays, but it's everything. Even as an individual, if you represented yourself for, let's say, anything, not only your country, in the right way, you're actually doing PR, which is public relations. And this is the start for any international, let's say, participation.
I didn't think of it like that. That's pretty cool. What do you think, Abdullah?
Yeah, honestly, I studied PR briefly. I don't think I was good at it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, but I did study the part about marketing, and specifically about the guerrilla marketing. And I believe that at the time I was thinking, this is genius, right? PR is something, it's a hidden trick that a lot of people don't know they're being influenced by.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, and I want to go back to the journey itself, because you've been there for 2 months or 6 months.
2 months and a half.
So that's a very long time to be in a
Yes.
country. And I want to ask you about your first experiences, your first time you stood in Japan. How was that like?
It was actually my first time in Japan in general.
Oh.
So that was the first, let's say, fear.
It's like going on
Yeah.
hard mode. First
Yes,
time
exactly.
is you're going to be here for 2 months and a half.
Exactly. For 2 months, a new country, let's say a new environment. I don't eat Japanese food. This was my
Oh,
first
really?
fear.
It's delicious though.
I've heard a lot. I still don't eat Japanese
Did
food.
you end up trying any Japanese food?
Desserts.
Oh yeah, their
Yeah,
desserts must be
I've had
amazing.
many desserts. So this was actually my first fear. And then you're also going on, let's say, it's not just a tour and you're not on vacation. You still have to work for a sector. So that was also hard. But putting first steps in the pavilion, or let's say in the expo area, since we worked for 2 and a couple of months, 2 years and a couple of months, you haven't seen the actual work by eyes. So the first visit was overwhelming. Seeing the actual pavilion, the things that you've worked for the past 2 years in front of you, that was overwhelming. But then everything just went on. You're like, I'm on ready mode. Let's do this.
Did you find that having to go to and spend so much time in a brand new country, I know it was very daunting, but what did you enjoy about it?
I would say their culture and their people. They were so sweet, so welcoming. Even though everyone was telling us, like, if you don't speak Japanese, you're gonna have a hard time. Google helped us. And even sign language helped us. Everything helped. They were always trying to help you with everything, and they welcome you in a very warmth way. They were very helpful. So the people, the culture mostly, what's made me say, okay, I've tried it for a couple of months. I'm definitely coming back to explore the country. It was really nice.
Yeah, my sister goes to Japan frequently, but the first time she went to Japan, she said the amount of things you hear about how nice Japanese people are multiplied by 10. Because
Exactly.
they are so friendly, they are so kind, they are so welcoming. You know,
True.
it's something she wasn't expecting at all, even though she was expecting a level of kindness. That's just to say how much, good people they are.
Really. And that's what we felt and what we saw. It was really nice.
That's amazing. I have heard a lot as well about how polite and efficient the Japanese people are. And I feel like that must have helped a lot with everything for the expo as well.
Exactly. Yes, it really did. It really did, especially on their visits. From the first, let's say, hour of opening hours, they all had these smiles on. We've had long queues that took like the first days, from an hour and a half till 2 hours. The smile was on. Everyone was happy. They would always be cheered up to be there and want to know more. If it was something personal of our looks, let's say, the way we're dressed up, we've had so many shashins, which are
Shashins.
pictures.
Learn
So
something.
yeah, this is what I remember. So we've took so many pictures. They were just so sweet to be around.
Yeah, and so from your interaction with a lot of them, especially the, people who are curious about Kuwait, what part of the sphere were they most curious about, or were they most liked about?
It was the first room and the last room. I don't want to, let's say anything about the rest. They all had their kind of love. But the first room was the first impression, which was the sphere.
Okay.
It had many effects. Let's say, for example, when we had the desert, which was the last scene, the room would turn high heat, as if they were exactly in
Wow,
the
that's
desert.
amazing.
That's pretty
Yes,
cool. Yeah.
so this was something cool for them. And the last room in the pavilion is about the vision of Kuwait, New Kuwait, which was made in a way where we would have some devices. They would use them to say some wishes, and they will have seen a shooting star raise
Aw.
up to the dome of the room, and as if they are wishing for some wishes. And this was the part where they loved the most.
I think
And
that
first and last impression.
I think that's a really beautiful experience to give to not only the Japanese people and not only the Japanese people, but anyone who is visiting the expo.
Exactly.
We're going to go on a short break, and then I hope we can talk more about this. It sounds amazing. We're going on a short break. Stay tuned.
We're back with Fatma Alfulaij, and I believe we've gone through the kindness of Japanese people before we got onto the break. But I want to ask about their influences on your approach to life, to work, to people in general.
I guess I'm more calmer now. I
Oh,
take
okay.
things with ease.
Yeah.
Everything is gonna happen whenever it happens. And I've seen their respect to each other was so nice. And this is something in common. Let's say we always Kuwaitis are known for respecting one another, and what they have there opens your eyes. Like they respect each other from their roads, their staircases, the way they take their spots in the elevator. Some stuff you may see like they're small, but whenever you see them on a daily basis in front of your eye, like, okay, now I always, whenever I'm on the elevator or the escalator, I take like the right side and keep the left side open for whoever wants to go behind, pass by. Before I would just stand in the middle as if it's only for myself.
Going back to what you said about desserts, since it's mainly what you ate, I actually have a really big sweet tooth. What would you say is the best dessert you had there?
I've had cream puffs as much as I could there. I would start my day taking my cream puff, going on the bus, and now I'm ready to go to the pavilion. That would be the easiest trip. Dessert there are not, like, let's say, they're everywhere. Whenever you try something new, you'd say, this is the best dessert you've had, and then you're going to have the best one later on in the day. So you're never going to have enough.
I'm so jealous, honestly, because I would love to try all of these different things. Abdullah actually is a foodie. So
Yeah.
do you also have a sweet tooth, or is it more just regular food?
For the Japanese cuisine in particular, I do have for their, do they call it the cheesecake? Their puffy
Oh, that
cheesecake.
one. Yeah, it's like wobbly
Yes.
and stuff.
It's so delicious. The cheesecake pancake, whatever
Cheesecake
they call
pancake
it. Yeah,
thingy. Yeah,
it
it's
is so
the fluffy
delicious.
pancakes or something.
Yeah, I used to, when I was studying abroad, I used to eat it on a nearly daily basis. And I think that's what got my weight from 80 to 120 at one point. But I did not regret it one bit.
They really have good pastries and good desserts.
Yeah.
Bakeries are everywhere.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
beautiful. I
every
wish
step
we
of
had
the
more
road.
bakeries. To be able to walk and get
Walk
one.
and get one.
Sounds like a dream. And even though you don't like Japanese cuisine, did you try anything while you were there?
I don't want to make it so, let's say, devastating. I didn't have time to.
Understandable.
I didn't have time to. But I've heard a lot. So hopefully on my next trip, I'm definitely gonna get out of my box and try some new stuff, because it's like everywhere. And seeing my colleagues try something new and saying that it's really nice, that made me also jealous by time.
So now you have a bucket list of food from
Yeah.
Japan to eat.
Food, places to visit, and so on.
Yeah. I do want to ask about something that you mentioned before. When I asked about the most challenging thing about this whole thing, you did mention it was the daily, task of having to come up with stories.
Yes.
So I want to go into a little bit deeper into that. Like, how did your decision to, tell a story, how did you make that on a daily basis?
First, it started with like having plans. But now let's say whenever you're in the PR and social media field, plans don't always go as planned. So you have to go deep in whenever you start your day, see how it's going, how everything is flowing in the pavilion, and just get up with ideas. I had also my colleague who is a photographer and videographer there. We would sit together and let's say we'd meet in the front of the pavilion, get a closer look to the people and the vibes they're giving us from them standing in the queue, and we'd say, okay, this is the idea, would work for today, let's do it.
So it's very much in the moment.
In the moment.
Yeah, which is amazing.
And those in the moments were the best videos and content we've shared.
Was there like a particular person or group who, when you collaborated with, you found as your favorite moment or most inspiring?
You're putting me in trouble with this question. I have many.
Well, just give us an example of one.
Let me say something and let's hope no one takes it in a bad way. As a person who started with the first group, all of us were first timers for this kind of trip. They were so energetic in a way that made anything go like and flow easy. Whenever you asked for something, it was like, okay, we can do it. We're ready for that.
That's amazing.
And this kind of vibe made you like get the flow going and more fun, easier, and I don't know, overwhelming in the same way.
Yeah.
So the first group from, let's say, this interview, I'll tell them thank you. Not that the rest haven't done what they're doing. They were really amazing, but it's always has been said, if you started in a way, that took you for this amount of achievements that the Kuwait Pavilion had, they aced it.
Yeah, it
And
must feel like I'm sorry to
sorry,
interrupt you.
no, not really. But when you start with such a group that aced the way, it led these achievements to get to the flow that we are
Yeah.
in now.
I was just gonna say that it must feel like a special kind of bond and camaraderie you have with these people where you're all stepping out of the airplane at the same time, going through something that not a lot of people experience. You know, you're
Yes.
also representing your country in the most optimal way and the most perfect way possible. And you've all made a great job at that. So thank you again.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Speaking of, you had to stay there for quite a while, so I'm guessing you really immersed yourself in the culture.
Yes, exactly.
Did that change the way that you view things?
The way they're disciplined and the way they stand in long queues. If it was for me personally, I wouldn't have stand for, let's say, 15 minutes in
Same.
in any queue. Seeing them stand there for 2 hours till 3 hours some days.
Wow, that
Yes,
long?
that long.
Wow.
For 3 hours some days, and I was like, are they for real? It was rainy, sunny weather. It's rainy weather. Sometimes we just don't know what's the condition. They would be telling us like there's a storm coming our way. Please be aware. I would think that people would leave the queue and just stay safe, but they're still there. I guess this taught me to have some
More
self-discipline
patience, yeah.
and patience too.
I would have left the queues personally.
Personally,
so-
same.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, it's amazing. And honestly, we've all seen the viral videos of, you know, people waiting outside, lining up and queuing. And
Exactly.
I want to ask about the, you know, what was the reason behind that? Like, what was the word going about Kuwait's pavilion and their role in this entire expo that made people line up, as you said, for hours outside?
Hours. Despite the fun they've seen inside, there's a saying, I guess we all say, Kuwaitis have a love for Kuwait in a different way. Like no one loves their country the way we do.
Yeah,
I
for
want to say
sure.
that in big words and big bold words. As the pavilion, the pavilion, or I don't want to say the only pavilion, but the most pavilion that had employees that represented the country, that they are Kuwaitis from A to Z. We've had Kuwaiti employees through the whole pavilion. We had some employees who helped us, foreigners from different kind of countries, especially they were the big help with the language, let's say. They've taught us some Japanese words. They were the first Japanese speakers. But having Kuwaiti employees reflected the culture in the best way possible and made them ask for more facts, questions, and anything they would love to know about Kuwait was so easy answered by the employees themselves.
That's really awesome. Especially, I think it helped people really want to know more about the culture.
Exactly.
I actually heard that there's a restaurant in the pavilion.
Yep.
Could you tell me more about that?
Top one now.
Really? No
Yes,
way.
at Expo Osaka. We've had Sidra restaurant in the Kuwaiti pavilion.
Oh, wow.
It was also part of Chef Khalid Al-Bakar's recipes.
Okay.
He was the
So
main
it's like a
character.
local even
Yeah,
was making the food.
who was making the food. We served مجبوس لحم
Yeah.
Yum.
and
Well, thank you, Khalid.
I won't even I would say it in the right way, and now every Japanese knows how to say مجبوس
That's
easily.
amazing.
And yeah, they despite the other line, we had another queue for the restaurant. We sell out very early before closing hours too.
And how was their reception to our food? Because our cultures both share rice as one of the main ingredients of our
Yes.
plates. So how did the Japanese people accept Kuwaiti cuisine?
I've heard so many comments of them first time experiencing such flavors and some spices into such dishes. So this made them so surprised with the spice, let's say, mixes in our food.
I'm not surprised because, you know, in Kuwait, we're well known for having very good food.
Exactly.
That's one of our things of cultural pride, I think.
Yes.
So I think it's great that they also got to experience our culture in many different fields. But looking back, what would you consider the greatest success of the pavilion?
It's people.
The people.
The people.
That's really cool.
No matter how many technology rooms, you had digit devices, stories on walls, and so on. If the people weren't explaining themselves and, let's say, representing their country in the best way, we wouldn't have reached anywhere.
Yeah. And I'm going to leave you with one last question, is that for a lot of people who may find themselves in your position, right? Let's go a year ago, the opportunity came, you're going to be going and representing your country for several months. You know, I'd imagine you felt a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, a lot of responsibility. You know, how did you overcome all of that? And how, in what words would you tell people who fear the same kind of, you know, responsibilities?
It's maybe a fear, but once you step forward and on mode, it's gonna be way easier, especially when you have this heartfelt responsibility that I'm not here just to do my job and just leave. It's different. I'm representing my country, and show the love you have for your country. Say as much as possible, although sometimes you go back and say to yourself, I didn't say this exact idea or this fact about my country, or let's say, I want to say more. It's always, I want to say more. It's never enough. But do what you can do best, and people are always open to know more.
I think it's amazing that you got to share this experience with different cultures and really see how it all tied together,
Yes.
all the cultural differences and similarities. And I'm really, really glad that you got to have this experience
Thank you
and
so
share
much.
Kuwait's amazing image with the world.
Thank you.
So thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure.
I hope you have
This
a
was
lot
really
more,
nice.
you know, amazing endeavors like this in the future.
Hopefully.
Yeah, thank you, Fatma, for joining us, and thank you, our viewers, for
welcome.
joining us
Thank you
again on
guys.
this lovely conversation. You've represented Kuwait very honorably, very beautifully, so thank you again and again. But we are going to take a very quick break, and we'll come right after this one. Domo arigato. That was the end of today's episode of The Untold, another brilliant episode.
Arigato, and I hope you guys enjoyed the episode as well. I know I did. It was amazing talking to Fatma and getting to learn the behind the scenes of the whole experience.
Yeah, honestly, because we've seen all of the videos on social media, and like we've mentioned, she was behind a lot of those, especially in the early days. And the amount of work that got into it, the amount of people, the amount of combination of, you know, talent and, you know, brilliant minds all over the place was just beyond fascinating. So she was kind enough to join with us today and, you know, bring the story to public and everything. So thank you, the audience, and thank her as well.
And the fact that Kuwait's Expo was also so popular, I loved hearing that we got to share our culture with everyone in the world, especially Japanese people.
Right.
And I loved hearing how she said that people queued and were polite and they were just so amazing to work with, which really helped the thing, you know, blend seamlessly together.
Yeah, and with that in mind, that's the end of today's episode of The Untold. Until the next one, goodbye for now.
Goodbye for now. See you next time.